Bring in Democratic Congresswoman and Iraq War combat veteran Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. She serves on both the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs committees and is also vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Tamron. Good morning. Aloha.
Good morning. You've been very critical of the U.S. policy with dealing with ISIS. Let me get your reaction to this latest offensive this morning.
Well, I think it's progress in the right direction, taking back this key territory and cutting off this major supply route from Mosul in Iraq into Syria, which ISIS has been using to funnel fighters, supplies, as well as oil for trafficking in the black market. I think this is a step in the right direction. However, and this is a big however, there is so much more that needs to be done in two specific areas as we look at what the situation is in Iraq and ISIS. First of all, you have the Kurds, who are the most effective ground fighters in both Iraq and Syria against ISIS. They're leading this offensive attack in Mount Sinjar right now. The problem is the United States is still not providing the arms, the heavy weapons, and the equipment necessary for the Kurds to really be able to gain this strong, decisive advantage. As we look at the offensive that's taking place right now, we see the tactics that ISIS is using. They're using these IEDs, these roadside bombs and mines that are being placed in order to try to conduct these ambushes. And the Kurds don't have what is necessary to be able to clear those roads and are taking casualties as a result. The U.S. policy is to continue to funnel these weapons and equipment through the Iraqi government, very little of which gets to the Kurds, because the Iraqi government is the Shia-led government that is continuing to disenfranchise the Kurds and the Sunni tribes. So there's got to be a strong, decisive military approach to this. And the political solution is one of a three-state solution where you've got the Sunnis, the Shias, and the Kurds who are able to secure and govern over their own territories.
Regarding ISIS, though, you were recently on Real Time with Bill Maher, October 30th. You said if you're sending troops into harm's way, you have to clearly identify what the mission is, who the enemy is. There have been recent reports of our Arab nations who are allies pulling back, and that much of the work still falls on the United States. I should also point out you've been critical of Hillary Clinton and most of the Republican candidates and what you've called interventionists. Let me play a little of what you said to get more clarification, not only on what we're hearing today regarding ISIS, but other threats in the future. Let's play that.
Here's what I'm concerned about, Bill, is that we end up in November of next year, and we end up with the front-runner, Hillary, and many of the Republican candidates that we're seeing who are essentially interventionists and who are taking positions that will put us in yet another position, just as we've seen over the last decade, of getting into a regime change, nation-building mission, which is essentially what they're advocating for right now in Syria.
So we're discussing latest offensive, which you believe is in the right direction, but essentially, if the title of this mission would be described, some would certainly say it is about regime change and interventionists. Explain more of how you see the situation now and the concerns, and perhaps what you heard on that GOP debate stage.
Well, it's important to make a couple of clear distinctions, Tamron. First of all, the offensive that's taking place right now on Sinjar is against ISIS. ISIS is an Islamic extremist group that is right there alongside al-Qaeda and these other groups that attacked us on 9/11. These are groups that are waging war against the United States and who are our enemy. We should be taking action, working with allies and partners on the ground there to defeat them. As far as my comments about the interventionist policies of many of the front runners and many of the candidates who are running for president right now, relates to Syria and the illegal, counterproductive war that's taking place that's supported by the United States to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad. And I say it's illegal because the United States Congress, the American people, have not taken a vote to authorize the overthrow of a Syrian government, of this sovereign government. It's counterproductive because it is working toward the same objective as ISIS, as al-Qaeda, as al-Nusra, as these Islamic extremist groups who are seeking to overthrow this government so they can establish this extremist Islamic caliphate, which will wage even more terror across the region and create a greater threat to the region as well as to the world.
But what you were saying regarding ISIS, you said that you're worried that the administration, and these were the comments from October 30th, that the administration is essentially with the Islamic extremists on the ground there who are working to overthrow Assad. to that, they can take over and establish their own Islamic caliphate. That is regime change.
That's correct. And we should not be in the regime change, nation-building business. We need to learn from the mistakes of the past. Mistakes of overthrowing Saddam Hussein in Iraq, of overthrowing Gaddafi in Libya, both situations which resulted not in the strengthening of the United States, but actually strengthening our enemy, creating a greater threat to the United States, strengthening these Islamic extremist groups. And for those who are advocating for no-fly zones in Syria, those who are advocating for the overthrow of the Syrian government of Assad are advocating for the exact same thing that occurred in both Iraq and Syria. The result will be exactly the same: more chaos, a strengthened enemy in ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and these other groups, and a greater threat to the United States and to the world.
And lastly, I'll give you an opportunity to say whatever is on your mind and heart regarding Army Captain Florent Groberg, who is about to be just the 13th person to fight in the Afghanistan war to receive the Medal of Honor.
It's incredible always for us to be able to witness these acts of bravery and courage of our service members. It's incredible to see how they have taken this step of literally volunteering to sacrifice their lives for our country without even a second thought. So my heart is with him today as he's about to receive this award, but it's also with so many others who sacrificed so much, and their family members, in making sure that we as a country do more to honor them. You know, we just heard yesterday about $143 million in bonuses that the VA just paid out to its executives and employees, some of the specific people who have been responsible for incredible waste, abuse, and scandal within the VA. Our nation has to do so much more to stop these incredible activities of waste and actually start to take steps to honor them.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, thank you so much for your time.